Good morning. I'm Amy Slaughter-Myers, one of the co-rectors here at St. Francis Episcopal Parish and Community Center. It is Wednesday and Holy Week, and I want to recall a verse from Sunday's Palm Sunday liturgy. It's okay if you weren't at Sunday's Palm Sunday liturgy. I was ill that day, but the verse I want to recall is, this is Luke chapter 19. This is after the crowds have welcomed Jesus coming in riding on a donkey. Some of the religious authorities in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." The disciples in the crowds are hailing and celebrating and praising the King, the Redeemer King, Jesus. And the religious authorities say, "Teacher, order your disciples to stop." Jesus answered, "I tell you, if these were silent, these people, these disciples, these crowds were silent, the stones would shout out." Creation itself, the stones would shout out in praise to God and praise to the King that comes to redeem all of creation. And then there's a turn from this celebratory moment. As Jesus came near and saw the city Jerusalem, he wept over it, saying, "If you, even you, had only recognized on this day the things that make for peace." Really strikes me at the beginning of Holy Week to hear these verses where we are, like the disciples, like the crowd, celebrating the King while Jesus is weeping. Jesus is lamenting. Jesus is grieving over us and the way that we treat one another and the way that we treat creation. And I invite you to sit with Jesus's emotions in this, with Jesus's lament in this as we move into our most holy days of the church's year. That is Maundy, Thursday, which will be the time when Jesus shows us to love one another by washing the feet of his disciples, and yet at that moment of great love, one of his beloved betray him. On Good Friday, Jesus goes to the cross to suffer with us, on the cross. All this and more that Jesus experiences, fully human and also fully divine. When I think about this phrase Jesus uses, the things that make for peace, I think of how Jesus lived his life and how Jesus lived his ministry and what Jesus taught us and still is teaching us to do, to love one another in embodied ways, concrete ways, to nourish one another in spirit, yes, emotionally, yes, and also with food and sustenance, Jesus nourishing people in their hearts and souls as well as their bodies. Jesus advocating for justice, the justice of God, the vision of the justice of God, and an embodied justice where Jesus himself on Palm Sunday is riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, a parody, a satire of the Roman army on the war horses with their swords and shields, and Jesus embodied solidarity, embodied justice going to the cross. Jesus teaches us the things that make for peace. I invite you to join with us at St. Francis in person or online on Maundy, Thursday, on Good Friday, and of course on Easter Sunday. But spend some time meditating with Jesus's weeping and lament. He's weeping and lamenting and telling us also that the mission of God will not be stopped. For even if you or I are silent, even if Jesus is betrayed and goes to his death, the stones would shout out in praise and glory to the mission of God. Amen.